Hey YouTube, my name's Cassie. Welcome to my channel. I do video game reviews, unboxings, and all sorts of different topics regarding video games, and sometimes other nerdy things as well. This week I'm going to be talking about PAX. I went last week, and also Game Club, which is a Facebook group that I am in charge of. And then I'm going to talk about my first impressions on Sea of Stars and Starfield. So about 3 months or so ago, I was on Twitter, X, whatever, and Any Informer was doing a contest. Any Informer was founded by Jill Grote. She used to be with Game Informer. So check her out. She does reviews and previews for indie games. But I won a contest on there for a 4-day pass or badge to PAX West in Seattle. I love traveling. Traveling is one of my biggest passions. It's actually bigger than video games, which is crazy because that's a big passion of mine as well, obviously. So I was really excited to go, but hotels are super expensive in Seattle. Typically around like $300 a night, and for 3 or 4 nights it's kind of a lot, so I was kind of skeptical about it, and I decided I wasn't going to go for a while, even though like E3 is something that I've always wanted to go to, and now that's no longer. There's no chance for that, really. I mean, let's face it, it's pretty much done, unfortunately. But PAX West is actually bigger than what E3 used to be, I think. It's like 120,000 people or so, which is crazy. So 2 weeks before PAX, I decided, you know what? No, I'm just going to do it anyway, because it's like a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing, which may or may not be anymore because I really enjoyed myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I won these passes, I meant to go. So, changed my mind and ended up having car troubles, so did not go on the day I was supposed to, so I had to cut it down to 2 days instead of 3, which kind of sucked, but at the same time, it was enough for what I needed to do. So, I left at like 3 o'clock in the morning, which was really early, and I was like super tired by the time I got to the hotel. I did see Mount Rainier on the fly-in, and that was just crazy to me. Of all the things that I did in Seattle and PAX West and whatever, the most exciting thing that I saw was a freaking volcano. Okay, it's just like crazy how like ginormous that thing is. I got pretty good pictures when I was on the plane too of it. On the way out, I decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit on the opposite side near the window, and thankfully I got one, even though I was close to the end of the line to get on the plane, so thankfully there was a spot open near the window. But anyway, so I flew in and super tired, but I decided I was gonna walk to Pike's Place, which is like a fish market with like little shops and restaurants and stuff, and it was pretty close to close because they close at 5, which I didn't know, but didn't get to eat there, so I went to Beecher's across the street, which they make their own cheese, and you can actually watch it being made in the window. There's this giant trough, and somebody's stirring the trough, making the cheese. They're famous for their mac and cheese, and I think they're located in New York as well. So I got their cheese, and then they also have like grilled cheeses as well, and I really wanted to try the kimchi grilled cheese because I love kimchi. Like, I put kimchi on a lot of things. It's delicious. It stinks, but it's great. And so I took that back to the hotel, and the kimchi grilled cheese was my favorite. I mean, the mac and cheese was good, don't get me wrong, but the kimchi grilled cheese is just like, I'm still craving it right now. So I went to bed super early because I was super tired. And then I ended up going to, I woke up super early and I decided I was going to go to the Space Needle, because if I'm going to go visit a new city that I've never been to before, I've got to sightsee. Because, again, traveling is a big passion of mine, so I've got to see at least a few landmarks or whatever. So I walked 30 minutes to the Space Needle, which also the big library is actually across the street from the hotel I was at. I didn't go in there either, but it's pretty cool from the outside. And so I decided I was gonna walk. It was like 75 degrees and like perfect with like a cool breeze, and it was great to walk in. I love being able to walk in a big city downtown, just go everywhere. And transit's like $3 to ride the Link one way, and so it's really easy to get around. Of course, you don't really want to live in a big city because it's expensive, and if you do have a car, gas was like over $5. So pretty crazy. But yeah, I walked to the Space Needle. It's cooler from the outside than actually going up. I'm from Illinois, so in Chicago they have the Willis Tower, used to be the Sears Tower. I felt like that was a better experience than the Space Needle, but it was still cool nonetheless. I don't know that it was worth like $30 to go up in, maybe like 20, but that's just me being me. You could see Rainer like as a kind of like a shadow. It looked like a cloud in the background, and I was just like, this thing is like bigger than this entire city. It's just crazy. Ugh, volcanoes. I love them. But the rotating glass floor, which apparently is the only rotating glass floor in the world, I did walk on that. A lot of people didn't. I thought that was cool. That was actually cooler than going up in the Space Needle, because it was only like 10 seconds that it took to get up there. But yeah, so rotating glass floor was cool. And then I walked back to PAX, and I had to get my badge at a hotel, which was weird because I went into the conference center or whatever, and I was like super lost because everybody was walking in, and I was like, okay, where do I get my badge at? And they let me in, and I'm like, I don't know. So I asked some lady at the info desk, and she's like, yeah, you gotta go to the hotel that's like 6 minutes away. I'm like, why? I don't know. But PAX was like in 3 different buildings, not the hotel. So I went back and got my badge, and then walked back, and then there was like a whole bunch of food trucks lined up, and I was like, I'm kind of hungry now, so because I had all been walking around everywhere already, and it was like 10 o'clock. So like 30 minutes to the Space Needle and like 30 minutes back to PAX. So they had like Korean cheese dogs and like street tacos and all sorts of stuff, and I was like, I kind of thought about the Korean cheese dog, but then they also had pierogies. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. And I've never had that before, so I was like, it looks good, and it was like super super fresh and doughy when it came out of the oven, and it was great. It was delicious, so I'm glad I had that. And then I walked back over to PAX. I went to the first main building, and they had, as you walked in, there was like Baldur's Gate 3 had a booth. They had people like dressed up, and you could play the game as well. It was really cool seeing like the way they had the booth decorated, kind of like made you feel like you were in Baldur's Gate. There was also a Final Fantasy 16 that was kind of themed, like, you know, how it should be themed. And then there was an Ifrit statue. It was cool. It was super cool. It like glowed red. So And then there's so many booths of playable games that were not out yet. A lot of indies. I like indies, to be quite honest. Sometimes the indies lately, or even AA, have been more interesting to me than AAA that I've been finding. I feel like AAA, unfortunately, has seemed more like copy and paste, and while they're good, it seems like something I've already played before. Whereas like a lot of the indies have felt like something entirely different. So maybe it's not just me, but lately that's how I felt. So I was fine with, all those indies being there. But the ones I was looking for were not at that building. So I got out my map and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go to the other building. Because I was specifically looking for Pacific Drive, and that was in the other building, and so was everything else, and Nintendo Live and stuff, which I ended up not being able to go to because there's just not enough time. But so I go to Pacific Drive's booth in the other building, and I wait in line. It's probably about like 20 to 30 minutes. Pacific Drive is like a horror, not really horror, it's more like a suspenseful run-based game where you have a station wagon and it's like an apocalyptic world where there's kind of like a radioactive cloud that kind of like starts to like come over the world, and you have to like build up your car to like survive, to like make it to where like it's going to be able to outrun this cloud, but also so you can fend off against like robots and like weird things. It's kind of really hard to explain, but you're just gathering resources. It's like a survival game. You're gathering resources and stuff to like add to your car and kind of fix your car up, and try to escape. And it's run based, so once you die, you got to start over. It was interesting, but there's a lot of stuff going on, like in the UI and stuff, like the menu and like all the different items and what they do and stuff. I felt like I needed more time. I played about 15 minutes of it or so. I talked with the developer, and they were pretty cool. This is their first game. I can't remember. For some reason, I can't remember what the name of the devs are. But Ironwood, I think, maybe. They're from Seattle, so they were pretty cool to talk to. One of them was really excited because he's like, I came to PAX like several years ago as just somebody just checking things out and never thought I was going to be a vendor at some point. So that's pretty cool. After that, I got in line for Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is kind of like a fantasy-based Guitar Hero type game. Oh my gosh. This was so much fun. Like, I can't wait until it comes out. It comes out on Switch and PC, I think. I don't think they have any projections for Xbox or PlayStation. By the way, Pacific Drive will be on PS5 and Steam. But you've got like this character, and she's got a guitar, and just like Guitar Hero, but there's like enemies like goblins or ghouls and bats and skeletons that come down the screen, and there's like 3 rows, so left, right, and up. But as they come down, you've got to hit the left or right arrow key or the up arrow. Some of them you have to hit 3 times in a row. If there's like a whole line of them, you've got to hit I think left and right at the same time to clear the whole row. There's also some of the bats of a certain color whichever direction they're facing, they will hop over. And then some of them will hop over once and then hop back. So you got to hit those arrows, dun, 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 you know, like kind of like, it's really cool. And then also there's like, I guess it was an in-between. I don't know how the entire game plays. But there's like a part where it's like yoga and the character is, the instructor is like doing poses and you've got to like go with the beat. You've got to hit, you know, whichever way if she's got her arms to the right, you got to hit the right arrow key at the right time. It's just really, really cool. I don't know. I like it, but I like rhythm-based games and like Guitar Hero a lot. And so that was fine. And then I got in line for Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I almost said Sands of Time. But I've never played a Metroidvania. I've barely even played Metroid or Castlevania at all either. So, but I've had this pre-ordered because I thought it looked really cool. And actually, it runs really smooth. They had us playing on a Switch with a Switch Pro controller, and it played pretty smoothly on there. I'm gonna get it on PS5 personally, but yeah, it's really smooth, but it's definitely a Metroidvania. It does take a little bit of time to like get into it. Not like get engaged into it, but like get the controls and stuff. And it is fairly tough. But that was really cool. I really wanted to get into Persona 3 Reload's line. I've got that pre-ordered as well. I've got the collector's edition. Finally, like I managed to grab the last pre-order at GameStop the day after it was announced. I had to have that statue, you know? Like, I like Persona a lot. It's cool. At least the mainline games. I don't really care for the side stuff. But, yeah, so actually, they gave me this. I think I was supposed to play the game to get this, but this lady just, like, came up to me and gave it to me. I think she thought I had already played. But, yeah, I got a tote. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't get to play it, and I really enjoyed my time at PAX a lot. I only managed to play 3 games, and I got there at like around noon or so, and they kind of started shutting down around 5. By the time I got to Persona 3 Reload's line, the line was full, and they're like, it's too close to the end, so they weren't letting anybody else in, unfortunately. But it was really, really neat. So many booths were like decorated to like make you feel like you were like part of the game. I saw like people were going over to Nintendo Live. I didn't really run into anybody. I went by myself. Unfortunately, although the person that was in line in front of me for Pacific Drive actually won tickets from Indie Informer as well. It was like such a small world. I messaged Indie Informer and like told them, and they're like, wow, that's crazy, the amount of people here, and what are the odds of that, because she didn't give out many. So yeah, that's pretty much it for PAX. This is actually what my badge looked like too, and it came on a Fae Farm lanyard, which Fae Farm just came out yesterday. I'm not playing it because there's too much going on right now, too many games. But my sister's playing it, and she really likes it a lot. So, I also got this shirt. I had to get some kind of souvenir, and my pull string or drawstring bag was falling apart, and I was like, well, this is perfect. Here's a replacement. So, thought this was really cool. I like this. And I've already got plans to go next year. And if not with my sister, which is what the plan is, I've got several friends that want to go with me as well. So I'm definitely going to go again next year and plan for 3 days instead. Plus, maybe I'll get to actually meet up with Jason next time. He's in Japan right now. Metal Jesus Rocks. I'm actually an admin for him on Facebook. but I haven't met him in person yet, so maybe meet up with him next time. Not really sure. But also Game Club. So talk about Game Club. Game Club is a game of the month group on Facebook. So every month we play a game together as a group. Right now we are playing Children of Morta, and we are also playing Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. We play like a long game for 3 months because there's just not enough time in a month to play those games that are over 20 hours long. The restrictions on our game of the month, they have to be less than 20 hours and they have to be less than $20, or they can be on PS Plus, Game Pass, or Switch Online. That counts as well, and then like Steam and digital, whatever. Just not emulators and all that. So we actually just put up our voting thread for October's Game of the Month. So that's up right now. I'll have a link in the comments below, or in the comments? None of the comments, in the description. I'll have a link to the group. So if you guys are on Facebook and you want to check it out, definitely send a request to join the group and I will accept. Everybody gets 2 votes in the voting thread, unless you get a 1-up, which a 1-up is where if you play a game and complete it, or get a platinum on the game, or if you share a video review of the game, you get extra points, and those extra points can be used for extra votes. So like platinums get you 3 points, completion screens gets you 1 point, and then video review gets you 1 point. So a total of 5 points per game. You also can get those points by playing our older games that we've played before, which there's a list that's pinned to the top of the page. And then depending on, if it's a Game of the Month game, it goes towards a Game of the Month. If it's a Game of the Quarter, it goes towards a Game of the Quarter for the voting threads, which the Game of the Quarter voting thread will also start on the 15th. And that game will be played October through December. We also have, if you play the game within the month it's supposed to be played and you share completion, you can also get a spot on a wheel at the end of the year where you will be in a drawing for like a $20 Steam, Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox gift card of your choice. So we got that, which, we've only got like 300 people, so, it's been growing a little bit, but, I don't know. There's a lot of games on there I got interested in from Game Club that I never would have thought about before. Like, Shadow Warrior, for one. Like, that was one game that I was like, I don't know about that. And then I decided I was going to play it, and it's fantastic. It's one of the best first-person shooters I've played, and that's all thanks to Game Club. There's a lot of games that I've discovered through Game Club that, ended up being some of my favorites, so definitely check us out if you want to, and make sure to get your votes in. The wheel will spin early, usually around like 8 o'clock in the morning on the 15th. And then we'll start for the voting thread for Game of the Quarter as well. Before I quit this video, which I've been talking a lot, sorry, Sea of Stars and Starfield just recently came out within a couple of days of each other. Sea of Stars, I thought I was going to pass on and wait because there's so many games coming out, and I was like, I'm not really into the older style RPGs. I just never, it's not that I don't like them, it's just that I didn't grow up on those. I mostly played 64 and GameCube, and they're just, I didn't play any PS1 hardly at all. only like when I went over to friends and stuff. And when I did that, I'd play Crash or Spyro or Cool Borders, Tomb Raider, stuff like that. I didn't actually play RPGs. So I like my first introduction really into RPGs besides Harvest Moon 64, which doesn't really count too much because it's a sim, but it's an RPG, whatever. I didn't really like start until like Final Fantasy X, which is not like the sprite based RPGs, you know. And I decided I was going to give in because it just had so many great reviews and the graphics looked really cool. And I did like Octopath Traveler quite a bit, so that's like really the only one of those games that I've really put a lot of time into. So I started Sea of Stars, and it's incredible. I don't think there's anything I can think of that's negative about it. The music's beautiful. It plays very smooth. The combat system is turn-based, but there's also like kind of like time-based attacks, like bonus attacks or bonus blocking, you know, where if you time a button at the right time, like you can either get a better attack, or you can kind of lower the damage that you take from an enemy if you hit it at the right time as they hit you. Take less damage, but it's really cool. I think I'm 8 hours in, so it's not very far, but like it's, you know, last weekend I wasn't at home at all, and I just have a lot of things that I do. So sometimes I only get like maybe 1 to 2 hours of gaming in a night. And then Starfield also came out. I got the Constellation Edition, which I'll probably share in a short and maybe a pickups video like later on, which is really cool because the game itself, it's digital, but the code came inscribed on like the in-game currency. It's like this little metal piece that's inside of the steelbook, and I'm like, that kind of makes up for not having a disc in there. To be honest, it's really cool that they did that. And the watch is cool as well, especially like the way it opens up. But the game itself, it starts off pretty slow. I'm a big fan of Fallout 4. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And I liked Skyrim quite a bit. I played Oblivion. I really liked Fallout 3. But Starfield feels a little bit slower. I mean, they all start out slow, but like, it's taking more for me to get into. And it's not that it's bad, it's just, it's not, I don't know that it's like not what I expected, or it's just the space exploration, you mostly are fast traveling to most places. It's not really open in space like you would probably expect it to be, you know, but it's okay. It's not a bad game by any means, but it's taking a bit to get into. I'm on Mars now, so I'm like, I don't know, like I think I'm 15 hours in. But it's really cool though, listening to everybody's experiences on Starfield, because you hear about all these different encounters that people have had, and it doesn't seem like anybody's had the same ones from what I've been hearing. Like this, like I've been listening to Kind of Funny, and they're all talking about their experiences and all these like crazy things, like a party spaceship that somebody ran into and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, that's really all I've got to say about that so far, because there's not really too much that I've done. My dad in the game, because I did choose that perk, looks really a lot like my dad. It's weird. It's super weird. My mom looks nothing like her. Otherwise, I'd be like super worried. I'm like, is this game spying on me? But yeah, no. If you want to like see pictures and like more stuff, on things because I don't really have a computer. I do this all on my phone. I'm not going to edit on my phone because it's a pain in the ass, to be honest. Until I get like a good computer to do all this stuff on, I'm not going to like really like add like videos or pictures or anything that you can see. Unfortunately, I know that would be more appealing, but until then, it's just gonna be this. But I do have a Twitter account that I post quite frequently on now. So check that out. That'll be in the description as well. And so I'm playing Sea of Stars. I'm playing Starfield. Just started Children of Morta the other night, which is for Game Club for this month. And oh my gosh, it's a roguelite and it's incredible. It's so addicting, which what roguelite really isn't addicting? Like every single one that I've played has been crazy. I was not expecting it. I almost thought I was not going to like it, and it's great. So that just goes to show you that Game Club is pretty awesome, and there's games to be found that people don't know about. So that's really all I've got to say. And sorry this was so long and I blabbered on a lot, but hopefully the next video will be like more like straightforward on one thing. Until then, I'll see you guys later.